Today's video is reviewing section P4 and P5 about polynomials. A polynomial, by definition, is a term or two or more terms containing variables with exponents that are whole numbers. The degree of a polynomial. The degree of the polynomial is the largest exponent. So for example, if you had the polynomial 5x to the third plus 3x minus 5, the largest exponent is 3, so it would be degree 3. A monomial, now these are types of polynomials. A monomial has one term, like 5x to the fourth. That's a monomial. A binomial has two terms, like 5x plus 2. That's two terms. A trinomial has three terms. 2x squared plus 6x plus 1. That is a trinomial. So some problems adding and subtracting polynomials. Remember, you want to combine like terms. So negative 17x to the third and 16x to the third, when you add those together, they give you negative x to the third. 4x squared minus 3x squared, that gives you positive x squared. Negative 11x plus 3x gives you negative 8x, and negative 5 plus negative 15 gives you negative 20. When you subtract, the one thing you have to keep in mind when you subtract is you need to distribute the negative sign into each term. So basically, it becomes 13x to the third minus 9x squared minus 7x plus 1. Whoops. Take away the parentheses. And then you distribute the negative sign, so it becomes plus 7x to the third minus 2x squared plus 5x minus 9. So it just changes the sign of everything on the right. So then you can combine like terms. So 13 plus 7 is 20x to the third. Negative 9 minus 2, or plus negative 2, is negative 11x squared. Negative 7x and plus 5x is negative 2x. And then 1 minus 9 is negative 8. Multiplying polynomials. If you just do two monomials, you use the properties of exponents. So you multiply the like terms. So negative 8 times 5 is negative 40. And then x to the 6th times x to the third, you add the exponents and get x to the 9th. If it's two binomials, you're going to FOIL. So remember, FOIL first. So 7x times 4x is 28x squared. Then you do outer. So 7x times negative 3 is negative 21x. Then you do inner, and you get negative 20x. And then you do last. So negative 5 times negative 3 is positive 15. Then you want to combine the like terms. So notice the like terms there. So you get 28x squared minus 41x plus 15. We'll skip that one. We'll go to multiplying a binomial by a trinomial. It's basically the same thing, except you're going to distribute each term in the binomial to each term in the trinomial. So for example, 5x times 3x squared is 15x squared. 5x times negative 5x is negative 25. Actually, this would be x to the third, sorry. Minus 25x squared. And then 5x times 4 gives you 20x. Then you do the negative 2. We'll change another color there. So we'll go red. So negative 2 times 3x squared gives you minus 6x squared. And I like to line them up so I can add down. Negative 2 times negative 5x gives you positive 10x. And negative 2 times 4 gives you negative 8. So then you just add down. So 15x to the third minus 31x squared plus 30x minus 8. And there's your final answer. When you have two variables, like this one here, no biggie, just FOIL. 7x times 3x is 21x squared. 7x times negative y is negative 7xy. Negative 6y times 3x is negative 18xy. And negative 6y times negative y is positive 6y squared. And you just combine like terms. So that gives you negative 25xy plus 6y squared. Same as the other one, just two variables instead of one. But yx and xy are the same, so always write it in alphabetical order. If you have yx, make it xy. Special products. There are a couple things. If you multiply two same things squared, like a plus b times a plus b, when you FOIL, it's always going to be a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. We don't really use this one a whole lot because you can just FOIL it anyway, but the one we do use a lot is what's called the difference of two squares. This one here, because when you FOIL it, a times a is a squared, then you have plus ab, then you have minus ab, and then you have minus b squared. Notice the ab's cancel out. So it's basically a squared minus b squared. And this comes in handy when we do something like x minus 5 times x plus 5. That we know there's going to be no middle term. So when we FOIL, we just have to do the first and the last. There's no reason to do the middle because of the fact that they will cancel out. Now something like this, where it's more complex, here's what you want to do. You want to put parentheses around the 3x plus 2. And now notice you have the difference of two squares because you have 3x plus 2 plus 5y and 3x plus 2 minus 5y. So we're going to use a squared minus b squared, where a is the 3x plus 2 and b is the 5y. So basically we're going 3x plus 2 squared minus 5y squared. So when you do that, well, you'd FOIL this. So when you FOIL really quickly, you get 9x squared. Three x and 2x, sorry, 3x and 2 is 6x, and 3x and 2 is 6x, so plus 12x, and then plus 4, and then it's minus 25y squared, because 5 squared is 25, and y squared is y squared. And this would be your final answer. The next thing we're going to do is talk about factoring polynomials. Factoring polynomials, basically here, something like this, the first thing you want to do when you factor, remember, is take out the greatest common factor. Well, the greatest common factor here is a 5 and an x. So we take that out, and what's left is 2x and then plus 3. So something like this next one, the greatest common factor here is 2 and x squared. And when I take out a 2x squared, I'm left with 5x and then minus 2. Something like this here, notice what they have in common is x plus 7. What's left when I take away the x plus 7 is the 2x plus 3. So whenever you have 4 terms, there's something that you're going to do. It's called factoring by grouping, which means you're going to group the first 2 and the last 2. So whenever you have 4 terms, you're going to place parentheses around the first 2 terms and the last 2 terms. So that's what I did there. Then you're going to factor out what they have in common. So what do they have in common here? In the first one, they have an x squared. You're left with x plus 5. Remember, whenever they have a negative sign in front, you always want to factor that out. It's also a 2 that they have in common. And when you see what's left, there's an x. And when you take out negative 2 of 10, you're left with plus 5. So notice they have a common factor, x plus 5. So take that out. And then what's left is x squared minus 2. Factoring a trinomial. Remember, factoring a trinomial, you want to find the factors of C. Some people, I like to refer to this as the diamond method. Find the factors of C. So 8 that add to B, which is 6. Remember, it's ax squared plus bx plus c. The factors of 8 that add to 6 are 4 and 2. So then you're just going to rewrite it as x plus 4 and x plus 2. So you can do the same thing for x squared plus 13x plus 40. The factors of 40 that add to 13 are 8 and 5. So you have x plus 8 and x plus 5. But when the term in front of the x squared is not 1, when it's bigger than 1, here it's 8, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to multiply a times c, so you get negative 24. And then we want to find the factors of negative 24, which add to b in this case, which are negative 10. That's negative 6 and negative 4. Actually, sorry. It's not negative 6 and negative 4. It's negative 12 and positive 2. And we're going to use those factors to split the middle term here, the negative 10x. It's going to be x squared minus 12x plus 2x minus 3. Then what we've done is we've taken a 3-term polynomial, a trinomial, and we've made it 4 terms, which allows us to factor by grouping. Notice what they have in common here is a 4x, and what's left is 2x minus 3. Then here they have in common a 1, because that's all they have in common. They don't share anything else. So you're left with 2x minus 3, and then notice they share 2x minus 3, and what's left when you get rid of the 2x minus 3's is 4x plus 1. So let's try one more. So factor 6 and negative 7, multiply, get negative 42. They add to 19. The factors are positive 21 and negative 2. So you rewrite the middle term. It doesn't matter what order you put it in. As far as the 21x and the 2x. Then you group. Common factors here are 3x, so you're left with 2x plus 7. Common factor here, well, there's a negative sign and a 1, so it becomes 2x plus 7. So then the common factor is 2x plus 7 and 3x minus 1. Factoring the difference of two squares. Well, remember, difference of two squares, a squared minus b squared, is the same as a plus b and a minus b. So you have to take the square root of the first term, which 81x squared is 9x, and the square root of the second term, which is 7, so it's 9x minus 7, 9x plus 7. Something like this, the square root of x to the fourth is x squared, so it's x squared minus 9, x squared plus 9. Now the only thing to keep in mind here is that this right here is the difference of two squares still, because it's x squared minus 9. So you can factor this to x minus 3 and x plus 3. You cannot factor the sum of two squares, so that's why you have to leave the x squared plus 9. You can only factor x squared minus 9. That is our video for today. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and any questions, please feel free to ask during class. Thanks. Have a good evening.